There is a colonial woman on the wing.
Wait, she is dressed in traditional colonial garb.
It's possible for people to grab hold of the intercom, but we have special codes to be able to get our voice across. Hi, I'm Kristine Fernandez. I was an international flight attendant for a premium airline for about 7 years. I was based in Dubai and have experience working in first class and as a senior leading the cabin crew. Today I'll be looking at flight attendant scenes from movies and judging how real they are.
Come aboard, Mr. Young, is it you? Here's the way to your private suite. And some champagne.
I love this one. I felt like that was the airline that I worked for. So like the bar that they walk into, you know, that's almost exactly what it looked like. So that for us would be the business class bar. First class is insane. You have like your own private suite where the doors close automatically. And the best part is the shower. Yes, there is a shower spa. In order to use that, you have allocated time, so it's 30 minutes, and the flight attendants would go ahead and set up the spa for you so that all the towels are warm. The floors are heated. The floors are heated in your shower spa on the plane. So it's pretty wild, and it's like a refreshment drink afterwards. It's very beautiful.
Nick, we can't afford this. These pajamas are fancier than any of my real clothes.
So we hand out pajamas, you have the slippers, so you have a small amenities kit, which is like this size. You have your toothbrush, you have your socks and eye shades. I think 10 out of 10. Honestly, when I was watching that bar scene, I felt like I was back at, I was like, oh, I know this people.
Oh, that book's messy.
What's wrong with messy?
The first thing about that clip that stood out to me, you wouldn't believe, was actually the hair. Because the uniform standards for flight attendants is so very specific, or especially for the airline that I worked with. So all hair must be back, right? So if it's shoulder length hair and it's not touching the shoulders, you can have it down, but anything longer than that, then you have to have up, definitely away from the face, with a maximum of 6 bobby pins. The reason why hair was up was more from a hygiene perspective, because you're in food service. In the event of an emergency, having your hair up is good. So when the hair was out here, I was like, not too much. The way that most flight attendants see the lavatory is like it's a public toilet in dry air. So it's like the least sexiest place that anything can really go down. Getting steamy in the public toilet in the air is like very undesirable for most, but not ruling it out for everyone.
Will you have dinner with me?
Okay, that was like a super cute moment, but we're really not supposed to do that, so.
Okay, well, Bangkok can be really magical.
First of all, having a cute passenger on board that you're just like, quite rare. But also to have that like open flirtation in the middle of the aisles, probably someone on the side being like, excuse me, can I have a drink? Or excuse me, here's some rubbish. So that flirtation, if it were to really happen, it would happen more in the galley because it's more quiet and you can just sort of like chat with each other. But definitely flirtation can happen on the plane. I used to get asked if I would like to marry someone. Someone once asked me, they were like, give me your number, please. And I was like, I don't think that's appropriate. Would you like a drink instead? And then they were like, I promise I will call you. And I'm like, that's exactly why I'm not giving you my number. Maybe like a 6 out of 10. There were a lot of things happening in one scene, which may happen in different scenarios.
Miss, you cannot be up here.
Hello, Grandpa. I'm sorry. I just want to be here with my friends.
Oh, how often do we have to drink with drunk passengers? All the time. Pretty much every flight. One of the cabins that we had a whole bar in it. There would be people who would do the whole entire flight, 13 to 14 hours, just at the bar. We've had dancing. We've had people go from like being the quietest passengers at the beginning of the flight to like by the end of the hours of drinking is like everyone's best friend, inviting everyone to the holiday that they're about to go to.
Passengers are not allowed up here in first class. It's policy. I'm sorry.
That's very true. That's how strict it is. Like, that's how real it is.
Miss,
No, it's not me.
Yes.
In the night flights, like we walk through the different cabins just to check how everything is. There were like a lot of seats and these guys pretty much made their way into there and then covered themselves in blankets and like basically did their whole flight as business class. It's not allowed, but it can happen.
Whatever you say, stove.
It's Steve.
Touching is definitely not allowed. Does it happen? Sometimes, but we're really firm. We're very stern because that's definitely crossing the line. So it's a direct confrontation of that's not acceptable. And if it continues, it's never continued. So I've never gone to that level.
I have an announcement too. There is a colonial woman on the wing.
Don't you wait. She is dressed in traditional colonial garb. Get off!
It's possible for people to grab hold of the intercom. It's knowing what buttons to press. 10 out of 10 plus more. I can imagine it happening in real life. Never would that happen, but I did once get sent a photo of a snake being on a plane. I don't know where it came from, but someone said this was on my flight and there was just a little friendly little snake, but never, not at this level. One thing that you can expect on a flight in first class is a falcon. Was something that even we're trained for on the airline that I worked with. Odd things happen on the plane. My flatmate, she delivered a baby on board. On our flight, on all cabins, everyone gets handed out like a hot towel to like freshen up. And one time I handed out this towel. The guy just, he took it and he like just looked at me. And then he was like, and I was like, yeah, like, you know, and he's like, like he ate the hot towel. I couldn't believe it.
Rick, what's up with the oxygen mask deploying?
No, sorry about that. You're not gonna believe what came out of the instrument panel.
Definitely, if there's anything to be concerned about, you can just go straight to the cockpit. Like anything emergency one, just ring or go in. Most of the time, if there's heavy turbulence, the flight attendant wouldn't be in the cockpit. The captain will say for all crews to take their seats. So even at that level, no crew will be walking around. So definitely like a 0.5 out of 10.
Sir, you're gonna have to check that.
I got it.
No, I'm sorry, that bag won't fit.
No, I'm not. Hey, I'm not checking my bag, okay?
Okay, there's no need to raise your voice, sir.
I'm not raising my voice. This would be raising my voice to you.
This is 1000% true. It happens all the time. So I feel like I've had this exact conversation with someone. But I will say the flight attendant's composure here is also very real. That's what's expected of you. One time, I was still new. You can't really land until everyone's seated. But one guy really wanted to go to the toilet and he kept on looking at me like, can I go? And I was like, no, you can't go. He goes, no, I'm going. He brought a plastic bag with him and he turned around and I didn't understand what he was doing. And then as it turns out, he urinated in the bag and then he tied it up and then he put it in front of me. And like, what do you do? Did that just happen in my real life?
You know what? Just put me a little paws off of my bag, okay? It's not like I have a bomb in here. It's not like I want to blow up the plane.
Sir!
I just want to stow my bag according to your safety regulations.
Even if what you're saying is a joke or even if it's like completely hypothetical, like he was just angry, but that's something that would cause a flight to be definitely delayed. So if someone says that, everyone would definitely be deplaned. So there's some serious repercussions around that. Do you need a 9 out of 10? I hear about it all the time. I just never experienced it. Sometimes it might be in business class because the suites can be shared. One time, the guys in first class rang all of the stations just to let us know that there was a couple having sex in the shower spa.
What? The crapper's got my foot.
Oh, okay, wait, let me help. Okay, 1, 2, 3.
The thing that stands out to me is that's how small the toilet is. That's the kind of space that you would be working with. That's the possible things that could happen where your foot could actually end up in the toilet bowl.
Return to your seats now, please.
Beat it, Stu!
They can knock, but there's so much you can do. But I don't believe any specific protocol around that. It would be like, this is not safe because if turbulence happens, two people can't be in the toilet, let alone fasten seatbelts whilst, so that's probably the angle that it would come from. It's like you can't just assume and jump to the gun and be like, guys, no sex allowed. You just kind of leave it. 9 out of 10.
There's an oxygen mask up above you. On ahead and shout. Before helping the people who love you, put it on yourself.
So the fake planes, for us, we called them like the simulators. The overall setup of it is pretty accurate. The tone here was more like, they're sitting there waiting for it to happen. When you're in training college, it's a bit more serious. All of the tests, especially the safety and security one, they're known to be the most stressful times. There's so many things that you've got to remember beyond just the commands. You've got to memorize things like how many doors are there, where are the fire extinguishers located, and you've got different aircrafts to memorize. So if you're working on this aircraft, then you must know where all of the safety and security equipment is for that particular aircraft. It's really treated like a serious exam period.
Assess the window! Good to go! Jump! Jump!
Whoa! Yes. 11 seconds to trainee record.
When they do the training around safety, it's like that. You're in the situation of acting out like an evacuation. So you have to yell, you have to raise your voice. You actually have to act with that urgency. We are to be able to evacuate a plane with all different quantities of passengers, but 420 is for the larger aircrafts. We have to be able to evacuate that quantity of passengers in 90 seconds. People think that flight attendants, the front that you have is very friendly and approachable and therefore not really that serious, but it's quite a serious role. So much of it is really about your role in safety, and that's never, ever talked about. Like health emergencies, they happen on the plane. Well, we would describe sometimes the job kind of like being like swans, swimming swans. Up the top, it's like very nice and smooth and calm, and underneath you've got like the little feet. Overall, I'd say pretty accurate, like 8 out of 10. I've never had anyone sing on a flight in terms of performing on the airline. No. And then especially romance, like public open romance. The whole performance thing is definitely not something that I've experienced in real life.
Get out of the way. Excuse me, sir. I have to serve the beverages.
The truest thing about this clip is probably just the bar cart and someone trying to get through and not being able to. So what flight attendants do sometimes. You've let someone go through the toilet, but you're halfway through a big row of seats. So sometimes you'll just let them wait. Just let them wait, and they know that they will wait, and that's okay. Not really that realistic. I'd say probably a 1. There's even a story that went around that someone put their baby in the hat rack because they weren't too sure where to put the baby. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and click the button to watch some more.